Hey there, Squirrel Army! How's it going for today? We're having another look at some of the face commanders from the upcoming Commander Masters. This is Zhulodock Void Gorger from the Eldrazi Tribal deck. You can join the Squirrel Army by subscribing. Alright, so, 6 mana, 7/4. Okay. This already feels very eldrazi since it's already got the colorless symbol. So that does feel quite interesting. I think this one does seem like a very good commander because colorless spells you cast from your hand with mana 7 or greater have double cascade. So that seems quite powerful. Getting anything that we cast for 7 drops or higher has double cascade. That means we will get 2 free 7-drop or 6-drop or less cards from the top of our deck when we cast them. When I was saying this about the Sliver commander as well, it's sort of hard to pick one of the commanders that's arguably the best as the face of the deck, but this I feel is probably the best, Eldrazi commander now, because that is such a powerful effect for decks that are doing this already. It doesn't literally say all Eldrazi, but actually that's almost better for the most part because there are a few other 6 and 7, 7 and 8 and 9 and 10 and whatever drops that we can find in our color, which is colors, but again, we can find some of those other cards that would fit into this deck that are a higher mana cost and would double cascade for us. So that kind of value on those kinds of permanents is really good. And it also kind of fixes a big problem of a lot of these Eldrazi decks. Yes, some of the Eldrazi can be really good because they come down and they do something or whatever when you cast them or when they enter or whatever, they do something for the most part. But there's a lot of other stuff that you're casting that's 7, 8, 9, 10 mana or whatever. And it's just like, cool, this doesn't do anything really until I attack or really until I untap. And just that time period of going, cool, this really doesn't do a whole lot, to when you actually get to do something with it can be a huge window. So having the card that you've cast give you 2 other free spells is very powerful. So I do feel like that this could be the new most powerful Eldrazi commander and maybe one of the most popular ones, though it is tough to sort of beat some of the other ones. I get it, especially starting this late, but it's a really good card for a deck that's like this. So now we want to look at how we can maximize this kind of a deck and how we can maximize getting as many good 6, 7, 8, 9, whatever drops into this deck while not sacrificing so much in the deck that we're stuck kind of not having enough mana to actually get to our commander or enough mana to get to our really cool 6 and 7 drops. Plus, we don't want too many duds in our deck when we actually cascade and whatnot, because otherwise we're just going to hit all of these duds that kind of don't really do a whole lot for us. So it's got those sorts of decks when you have to cascade and you don't really know what you're cascading into are always a lot more difficult. And we don't really have ways in colorless to kind of look at the top card or look at the top cards or whatever, that kind of thing in our colors. So it's going to be a bit difficult with that, but certainly there are some things that we could try to do, like Brainstone, though that is a one-off and it's not that amazing later game, so it is a bit of a dud sometimes. But yeah, there are a few other things that we could try to think about doing with the deck like this. Like, a lot of Eldrazi decks already run a lot of the higher drop spells as well, a lot of the colorless, powerful colorless enchant artifacts and whatnot, because, you know, it's tough to find a lot of really good things that are in colorless anyway. So when you find something that gives your whole team flying, vigilance, you know, whatever, protection from red and white or whatever it is, and all of this other stuff, those kind of cards just go in a lot of these decks because it's like, wow, yeah, sure, I can attack with my huge Eldrazi, but a person can just block it with a 1/1, you know, so I'm not going to connect, really, though, again, how many times can I attack with my Eldrazi and they can actually block with their, you know, whatever, chump blocker, might be fairly irrelevant for the most part because, again, if you've got things that, you know, exile 20 cards from an opponent's library, well, that means they're going to be out of their deck pretty soon, you know, or whatever, or things like that. Again, there's a lot of other things that are out there. I do keep thinking that a lot of the Eldrazi don't have enters triggers, so, or whatever, they have cast triggers. So this works well with them because it casts them as well. So again, if it was put them into play, then it would be a lot worse because, again, a lot of the Eldrazi have cast triggers, not enters triggers. So it saying you cast them, essentially, because of Cascade, again, makes it a lot better because you get that cast trigger off of them if they happen to have it. Now, there are a few generic Eldrazi, but hey, it is what it is. So, like, again, we don't have to have much of a win condition for this deck to just win. We just have to get to our commander, get to our 6, or 7, 8, 9, 10 drops, etc., as fast as what we can. So we want to be playing as many Manorks that generate multiple mana, or at least the same amount of mana as what we kind of synced into them initially, or more, and things like that, because otherwise we're going to be sitting there going, well, we're in trouble now because we don't have nearly as much mana as what we need to cast all these behemoth spells that were in our hand. We also need a lot of ramp for a deck like this, and whatnot. So it is going to be a tougher deck to build. In a lot of these Eldrazi decks are always tougher to build because you don't have essentially a color, and you have to build from colorless spells. I don't even think there's any colorless enchantments, though they might put some in this pre-con. We don't know yet because they haven't released the full deck list and whatnot. Just these previews. But anyway, I still think that there is a lot that they would have to put out there for a commander deck like this. But again, maybe they would do that, maybe they wouldn't do that. But again, it kind of fits to what you think for the set as well. So maybe there'll be a few good reprints in the Commander Legends that are good for Eldrazi. So hopefully, like, again, there's the Urza's Incubators and things like that that are out there. So there's still a few other ones that are good, and there are things that reduce colorless spells, etc. So again, there are a few things. Yeah, they aren't Eldrazi, but again, we'll take what we can get sometimes. So yeah, I don't know. But anyway, guys, those are my thoughts on this one. You guys can always let me know your thoughts by writing them down there in the comments below. I hope you've enjoyed this one, and hope you will join us again in another one.